Hey everybody, it's Nat from Nat's Numbers. I have a revelation to share with you guys today, and I honestly believe that this could change your life. What I've found in my work is that numbers don't just describe personality typing or even your purpose. The numbers in numerology are placeholders for describing fundamental supernatural forces in the universe. So one of my favorite things to do now is to people watch, to watch numbers in action. I'll sit at a park bench, I'll sit at a cafe, and I'll see that when two people kiss, that's the superpower of the number two, of connection. When somebody grabs their partner's arm before they fall off a curb, that's the number four superpower of stability, strengthening, of survival. When I see a child run into the street with absolute glee from their parents, that's the superpower of the number five, of freedom and expansion. What I've found in my coaching practice and my anecdotal and historical research is that these forces, these numbers that are in your core chart, produce supernatural and tangible outcomes in your reality. In other words, the numbers in your core chart are superpowers that are talking about how you uniquely create your reality. So what I want you to do is I want you to get handy the two most powerful superpowers in your chart. That's your life path number and your name number. Okay? Your life path number derived from your birth date, your name number derived from your birth name. And when I go through each of these numbers, you're going to learn exactly what makes you a supernatural superhero in your life. Okay? So let's get started. Number one, if you have the number one in your core chart, you have the superpower of independence and self-sustenance. You guys have this incredible ability to pave a path into the unknown with nothing but yourself. You're able to go where nobody has gone before because you can generate, with just your singularity of self, you can generate resource, life force, and insight. This is so incredibly rare, to actually be able to create your reality and get your power from your sense of self and individuality and uniqueness. Let me give you some examples. In early American history, the two frontiersmen, Davy Crockett and Daniel Boone, they both have that one superpower. And they were able to go into uncharted territory and thrive. As young boys, they were thrown out into the wild, and they had to figure out how to stand on their own 2 feet. So you have the ability to go where nobody has gone before, and to know that you are capable, that you have the courage, the bravery, and the tenacity to do it. And you seem to do it and generate it on your own. Now, this is not just physically being a pioneer, but it can also be in the realm of thought. So Steve Jobs, one superpower, right? He was a pioneer in microcomputer technology. My mom, I remember when I learned that she was a one, it made so much sense because she was fiercely independent. And when I learned that about her, I recognized that the way that she accesses her power and creates her reality is by really focusing on her sense of self and focusing on her ability to thrive in her singularity. Okay? So the number one, the superpower of independence and self-sustenance. You guys are amazing pioneers who thrive when you're standing on your own 2 feet. All right, number two is the superpower of peace and connection. This is one of my favorite stories. So the two, you guys are able to bring forces together into harmony. It's why you're famous diplomats, you're famous peacemakers. You could walk into a room and you know how to navigate around the landmines within somebody's personality to be able to establish connection. So there is this guy with that dominant two superpower in his chart. He was a Soviet submarine captain during the Cuban Missile Crisis. His name was Vasily Arkhipov. And the story goes that him and two other commanding officers were operating a submarine in international waters. And suddenly Americans started to send depth charges down to explode. Now, these weren't to harm the submarine, they were to warn the submarine to surface and identify itself. But the crew thought that these depth charges were signs that war had broken out above surface. And so everybody wanted to launch a nuclear weapon. They wanted to launch a nuclear missile, and they had no radio contact with Moscow. They couldn't access anybody. And so they were at this moment where they were going to launch a nuclear missile, and Vasily, with his superpower of connection and peace, this incredible sensitivity, he knew that something was up. And they got in arguments, and they had this mutinous conversation, but Vasily convinced them with this incredible superpower. He convinced them to surface up, and when they did, they realized that war had not broken out. Now, this guy single-handedly prevented what could have been nuclear war. That is the superpower of the number 2, of peacemaking. Okay, number 3, the superpower of spellcasting. You guys have this potent level of self-expression and creativity that then is imbued into your atmosphere and imbued into your environment. You affect your environment through your artistry. You actually create what it is that you are expressing. Franz Kafka was a German novelist, and he wrote a story near the end of his career about a female mouse, I think it was, who lost her voice. Soon after he wrote this story, he lost his voice. Maya Angelou, another figure with that 3 superpower, just like Franz, she's an incredible wordsmith, right? She has an amazing quote. She knew about this superpower of spellcasting. She says, quote, "Someday we'll be able to measure the power of words. I think they are things. They get on the walls. They get in your wallpaper. They get in your rugs and your upholstery and into your clothes and finally into you." She understood this. So the number 3, you use your potent creativity, artistry, and self-expression to affect your environment. All right, number 4, the superpower of building and strengthening. This is the pragmatist. This is the athlete. A lot of people are like, oh man, being a pragmatist sucks. That's not very supernatural. Are you kidding? The pragmatist has the superpower of matter manipulation, okay? Case in point, Wolfgang Pauli, okay, this guy was an Austrian theoretical physicist, had that 4 superpower dominant in his chart. He became well known for making equipment in physics laboratories across Europe malfunction and fall off shelves. It became such an issue that his really, really good friend, a famous experimental physicist, Otto Stern, banned him from his laboratory because it was such a problem. And Wolfgang actually contacted Carl Jung, who was a psychiatrist who studied synchronicities and some supernatural happenings. He contacted him because it was a problem. So the number 4, you guys have the ability to strengthen matter step by step, to build things up, or to actually weaken matter as well. The number 5, the superpower of adaptation and expansion. I have the utmost of confidence that if I took a good, highly trained number 5, put you in a helicopter and dropped you off anywhere on the planet, that you would learn how to adapt and thrive in these random situations. So you guys are like chameleons, but not chameleons that you mesh and conform. No. You liberate yourself and you liberate others from any kind of limitation. So 5s have this magical ability to, with a touch, with a thought, with a sentence, to make you feel free again, okay? You guys are agents of change, and an example of this, I had a 5 life path client. In sacred geometry, one of the shapes for the 5 is the spiral or their tornado, because you guys are agents of change, chaos, and transformation. Well, this 5 life path client, as a little girl, her house was hit by a tornado, but the only room that was left untouched was her room. You guys thrive within chaos. You guys are these incredible transformers and liberators. Another example is Virginia Hall, which she was a 5 superpower, possessed that 5 superpower. She was a U.S. spy, and she was a master of disguise. In World War II, she was sent to help the French resistance, and she was so good at what she did. She was able to stay on the move, to camp out in barns and in attics, to put on these different disguises, that the Nazis labeled her the most dangerous of all of the Allied spies. So you guys have the ability to adapt, to be chameleons, and to establish transformation. Another example is Alan Watts, an amazing he was an Eastern philosopher, and he helped liberate people through spiritual philosophy. Okay? So, superpower of adaptation, expansion, and chameleonhood. I don't know if that's a word, but okay, number 6, the superpower of nourishment and of healing. I want you to imagine if you're 6, if you're like walking on a path, it's like everything behind you blooms. You have the ability to feed what needs to grow. You have an ecological sensitivity. So if you're going through a forest, it's almost as though you can sense that one tree that's sick. If you're in a room full of people, you can sense that person who's diseased or who is depleted or who is drained. There was a miracle healer and German mystic named Bruno Groening, big 6 superpower, right? He had it big, big, big time in his chart. And he was so well known for healing that at one point 30,000 people a day would show up outside of his house just to hear him speak, because he understood how to feed what needs to grow, how to help restore people back to their natural state of well-being. Okay, number 7, the superpower of sonar or X-ray vision. You guys are able to see the inner, deeper workings behind something. Incredible high degree of intellect, incredible genius. I mean, through the roof. What I love about you guys is you are not hypnotized by the physical world. You see beyond face value. You see beyond what already is. Examples: Thomas Edison accumulated over 1,000 patents, an incredible inventor. What was his name? Tim Berners-Lee? Is that his name? He invented the World Wide Web. So it's this ability to develop a relationship with abstract thought and with the non-material world. In fact, Isaac Newton, one of his biographers, wrote this quote, and this is you guys, this is the superpower of the 7 to a T. Quote, "When he observed the world, it was as if he had an extra sense organ for peering into the frame or skeleton or wheels hidden beneath the surface of things. He sensed the understructure." That is you guys. You sense the understructure of things. You have that X-ray vision. Another example, so you guys can be incredible like scientists and intellectual investigators, but you can also be these investigators of mysticism, of the mystery. Joseph Campbell, famous mythologist. Ram Dass, a famous sort of spiritual guru, right? This is another direction that you guys can go in. All right, superpower of the number 8 is master manifestation, accumulating and attracting resource. So I've had so many clients with the 8 dominant in their chart who have this superpower. They're able to manifest things faster than any other number. I had a client who really loved finding paper money on the ground, and he even found at one point $100 bills falling out of the sky when he was in San Francisco visiting one time. This guy attracts paper money like it's unbelievable. But some other examples: Martha Stewart, 8 superpower. She went from being this housewife and leveraged her domestic pursuits into an incredible multi-million-dollar empire. Ross Perot, don't agree with his politics, but he has that 8 superpower, and he accumulated his wealth with that incredible ability of intention. The story goes that when he first got into his sales career, the year's sales quota in that company, he was able to meet within 2 weeks. That's the 8. I've seen 8s do that kind of stuff so fast. When I came upon this story, I was dumbfounded. You know Ben and Jerry's ice cream? So Jerry Greenfield and Ben Cohen, the co-owners of that company, they both are 8 name numbers. So they both have that 8 superpower. And they turned a $5 ice cream making course into what is now a $500 million a year company. Okay, so master manifestation, accumulating and attracting resource, that's number 8. Last number, the number 9. This is the superpower of utopian vision and wisdom. 9s have the ability to see the best in people and the world and to energize it and bring it back to life. Okay? Here are some examples that is just uncanny. Gandhi, 9 superpower. Mother Teresa, 9 superpower. Nelson Mandela, 9 superpower. It's this deep humanitarian regard for the sisterhood and brotherhood of mankind, of believing that the best can happen and knowing that the utopia that is in the realm of thought, that is in the realm of idealism, can be energized into existence. I remember when I learned what my dad's numbers were, it was like this like incredible moment. He's a double nine. And my whole childhood made sense. He forced me to go to these political protests. He was always a political activist. We would lie our bodies out in Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard in Berkeley. So when I learned this about him, I was like, that's it. He has that superpower, this deep, deep regard. Now, deep regard for the world and for humanity. I just covered and skimmed the surface of the supernatural ways that you affect reality with your numbers in numerology. But there's so much more to it, you guys. So if you guys have questions, please let me know below. I'm planning on doing more videos on these concepts. And in this work, there's also the villain phase with every superpower and the masking phase. So you have the ability to use it in constructive, blissful ways, but you can also use your superpowers in ways that actually sort of make your life not very good. So we can maybe go into that and what the signs and signals are for each of those numbers, okay? I hope that this helped. I can't wait to hear your comments, and I'll talk with you guys soon. Bye.